What's happening, Mrs. Ryan?
Hi. Just getting ready for the show.
Nice. What are we talking about today?
I would love to talk about Carol Leifer because she's a woman that's involved with some of the coolest projects out there.
I love that. What else is going on today?
Well,
anything else important?
It's the last day of the old set.
Last day of the old set.
Here we go.
That's right. This is it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So excited.
Let's start the show.
Yay.
Ha. Nice. That was cool. This is kind of interesting. I don't know. How does it feel?
A little weird, but so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know. It is weird, definitely. And it's not bad weird. It's awesome weird. It's kind of... Does it feel real yet? I guess maybe that's what it is.
No.
Yeah,
does not feel
here.
real yet.
Same here. Let's see, get some cameras going here. How's it going, Mrs. Ryan? Hello, your favorite question. How are you today?
I'm doing fine today.
Oh, that's nice. Are you really? I love it when you are. And when you're able to say that confidently.
I am doing fine.
Fine is more of what I expected. How you doing?
Honestly, the true story is
This is an authenticity type podcast type show, so that's what we're pushing here. If you could be authentic, we would all appreciate it.
This is why I don't like that question. I never know how to answer it succinctly because the real story is my right leg is locking up at the knee, which is turning off the musculature that I need to move my right foot the right way.
That drop foot thing. Is that
the
drop foot thing?
That's the inside of like why drop foot happens to me, and I've been looking at that this morning. But I watched some of the Daria episode too, and my heart's full again, so I feel fine.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Before we even start the show, shout out to Daria from yesterday because
huge.
One, it was unexpected, so maybe that's why it was so awesome because you guys, we thought you were just going to go to coffee because she didn't quite have the confidence to do the show yet. She wanted to hang out with you a little bit and then maybe see. And then when you told me in the morning that she said no, she came around and I was like, correct, correct, Daria. Whatever. It was just a very cool thing, and the conversation ended up being one of my favorites that we've had on this show. It got real and it got deep, and I love that that's it kind of happened with Richard Chasler a little bit the day before too, and I love that that's the direction we're going because these are the conversations that I actually want to have with people.
Same.
Where it gets real, and maybe it gets uncomfortable. That's not the goal, but like if it gets uncomfortable, it's gonna get better after. And that's the goal for all this stuff. But anyway, I agree. That was awesome. Love her. Let's start the show. Goodness gracious.
Okay.
Since we've started the show. Today is, hello everybody. Hello. Today is Thursday, May 10th, 2018. I am here with Mrs. Ryan. Hello, Mrs. Ryan.
Hello.
Tell me, Mrs. Ryan, how are you doing today? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's so funny. It's just the two of us, but there is a lot going on today. So I don't want to, I've got notes of things I want to bring up. Most of mine are just like business. Yeah, housekeeping, so to speak, for sure. So mine are whatever, whenever. I know when I asked you what you want to talk about, you said Carol Leifer. And I thought that was cool because she's not exactly in the news to me, but yet somebody I admire a great deal. And I can't wait to learn more about her today.
It's kind of why I wanted to talk about her is because she's kind of behind the scenes in so many things. And when I got into the Daria stuff from yesterday, a huge high, it sparked. I'm so grateful that you were here and that you did this show because that conversation sparked so much of my head turning of like, oh, because she made a couple of references to the Tina Fey book that she had texted me earlier, like saying, I love it. Thank you for the recommendation.
Oh, so she picked up on that book because of you talking about it on this show?
She texted me about it, and
but because you talked about it on the show, that's so cool. Do you see how your voice works? Good for you. It's awesome.
I'm learning.
For real. fucking awesome. Sorry for the fucking.
It is pretty awesome. But what it got, she made a couple references and then she apologized, which is my thing. And like, no apologies in this room because no one is needing to. But it made me realize like women don't necessarily know where to find humorous, self-help-ish awareness kind of stuff.
Interesting.
And Carol Leifer.
Is that true? Sorry, I'm going to let you just go. I've never really thought of it, and I didn't realize that if that's true. There are no other outlets or...
I think it's hard with women the way it is for guys with like in the Porsche community I've seen that like guys that think they love Porsches think that they will have something in common with anyone who has a Porsche.
Oh, wow. Yeah, now I see what you're getting at. Okay.
And sometimes
this is a different problem. I gotcha.
It's one of those things where like anyone has so little time that to do the research that we did when we were kids about stuff we liked, hobbies we enjoyed, whatever, whether they're people or things, cars or comedian, whatever. That's a lot of time that people don't necessarily have anymore now that they're adults. And so you want like a quick. You don't want someone to tell you what to do. That's I think what people tend to do all the time. Like, you need to listen to this and you must love this. Sometimes, except that it's hard to cull through everything that's out there to find what's going to speak to you the right way.
Boy, this is tough. I'm listening. So far, it's a world that I don't live in anymore because I don't fucking listen to what other people say. So to me, it's like a more intuitive world. So it's one of those where I avoid this all like the plague, as you know.
Yeah.
Don't fucking tell me anything. And not because it's like I don't want to. If it's something I want to learn about, I'll either learn about it or I'll definitely ask you, especially if I know that you are the source to ask on this topic. All right. Well, anyway, getting to Carol Leifer here somewhere.
Well, it all stems from like there is for women looking for sources for that kind of education and awareness and whatever. So much of that is in older, meaning like 80s, 90s media. There's so much of it out there because women were behind the scenes then. Of like they were part of the writer's room, but they weren't the face of shows.
Okay.
So a lot of the topics that shows covered, like Seinfeld or whatever, specifically, I say
we're talking generalizations. Obviously, not the oddball like Mary Tyler Moore or something like that, which would be that's that like kind of those are the excellence moments, right? Like, but as far as the bar goes, or the curve, you're saying like there wasn't. I'm trying to think. We're talking about the 90s. Is that specifically 80s, 90s, maybe?
80s, 90s.
It's funny because I'm thinking that was a great time for women in comedy, and they were really becoming stronger. I'm thinking Roseanne Barr, Ellen DeGeneres, so many people. I mean, I'm just trying to think of the ones on Carson, even Paula Poundstone and stuff back then. There were a lot of people that seemed to have this trajectory, whether they ended up going that way or not.
Right.
So I would think, and this is maybe my incredibly naive perspective, I would think that what you were saying would be the opposite. That would have been a growth period. Is that not true?
I think it can be true, and I think that the ones that had the longevity to continue and the perseverance and the tenacity to kind of keep fighting that fight are still names that if you look back of the trajectory, like they were growing. But I think a lot of people got weeded out in the 80s and 90s.
You also made a determination. You were talking about behind the scenes too, and I realized that everything I just said was fucking right in front of the curtain. So maybe is it different behind the scenes? Because that could be a whole different ball game.
I think that it's different behind the scenes. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. But specifically with TV shows, it becomes more of an ocean of ideas versus this is my idea and this is how it's going to go. Like how many people were in the writing room when you worked on?
Which show?
Yeah,
they were all
as
different.
I was saying that.
Hang on. Yeah, but the truth is, I mean, I can still answer the question. I would say depending on any of the shows I've worked on, I've seen between 3 writers given at a certain, at the smallest time ever during turnover or whatever, to as many as like 30 if you don't count the ones in the room.
Right.
Like there are some that write from home and that send stuff in. I mean, like regularly, otherwise thousands if you count the occasional rare. So there's a lot There could be a lot. Is that what you were?
In that yes, there's a lot. And so
from 3 to 30 is my answer.
Thanks. But to me, as like I watched Seinfeld when it was on. I watched Friends when it was on, like initially. And I go back and I rewatch those episodes because now they're on all the streaming whatever's. And I don't recall the cultural context of the time that resonated so deeply with the stories. So I just see the facts of the stories as they're laid out. So
That's
remembering how many people are involved and the different perspectives that go into making those stories helps me a lot.
Okay.
So with Carol, I did not know, won 4 Emmys for Seinfeld for her work on that show. She was discovered by David Letterman in the 80s doing stand-up, which I did not know.
May I?
Yes, please.
I don't know any of this. I know the story that I know, which was never, you know what I mean? Like, I don't remember how I know this or whatever, but the story that I know, or that I believe is, it was, I'm trying to do the math here because David Letterman was guest hosting the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. So I'm guessing late 70s? Not even 80s?
Early 80s.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is late 70s, like 78, 79, and I could be wrong. This is the story that I heard. I'm going to go with 79 because it's the closest thing. It's still the 70s. And because Letterman had he wasn't guest hosting into the 80s. He had his morning show thanks to all his success guest hosting, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that's why I'm backing it up just a little bit further for the sake of I can't see another way for it to make sense.
This is why I like
call it
talking
79 to you. In my brain. She was up at what I can only assume was the Comedy Store because Letterman was in the audience and that was his place. So anyway, apparently he saw her set and wanted her to. Basically, he was out scouting for his hosting nights on the Tonight Show.
Okay.
So he wanted her, and I believe booked her to be on as a stand-up on one of the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, guest hosted by David Letterman shows. Okay.
Well, she was I guess, and I have way more work to do. I've only done this superficially because after I talked to Daria, I was like, what are other female influences that people can look at? Because that book that she references, the Tina Fey Bossy Pants book, which is fantastic and still relevant, but it was written in 2011. Mm-hmm. So it's a little outdated if you're like, what's going on right now? So all of my ideas are outdated.
I thought that was a book more about her experiences at SNL and just her life, etc. I didn't realize it was more of a topical humor type book. Or is it both?
It's both. Women tend to write both. Sorry, did that come out weird?
No. Women tend to write both.
Oh, sorry.
It's a little Penny Marshall, actually, is what it was.
Turn that off.
As a matter of fact. A very, very successful woman. Talented, too. Duh. I didn't mean to say just successful.
She's League of Their Own, right? No.
Yeah. Yes, she directed it.
Oh, then yes. That's what I'm thinking.
But Laverne, for many people.
Yeah.
Hello, Laverne.
I do love her.
Hello.
I loved it. That's great.
All right, derailed here. Carol Leifer.
Anyway, yeah, as I was thinking of what to say, I was imagining like what I would say to Daria, like for the next one, because she's listened to that book and she's trying to get her husband to listen to it. And I listened to that Tina Fey book over and over because I don't necessarily know that many that are out there. So I was on the hunt. But some of my favorite Seinfeld episodes are by Carol Leifer, which is crazy to me that the ones that we quote often. Mm-hmm. What are some of your? Now I'm not going to ask you. There's so many.
I wouldn't have one. I don't. I don't want to be disrespectful, but Seinfeld isn't like my favorite show or anything. While I do think it's one of the best shows ever. I stand behind that. I fucking firmly believe that shit. That show changed television. In the same way that David Letterman changed the talk show or whatever. It's the anti-show in every way. But I didn't. Like, I was into it when it was out. I still watch it when it's on, and I laugh every time. But it's not like I don't seek it out kind of thing. So I probably could do all the lines, you're right, but I definitely don't have favorites or even favorite episodes.
It's kind of why I stopped myself, because
Other than, of course, the Merv Griffin set episode, which is quite...
Yes. Life imitating art imitating life.
Yes, that's just brutal.
Fantastic. it is part, just so you know, it's part of the reason I was like, okay, with like, this is fine, go down that road.
Really? Do you know who wrote that episode? I've never looked it up, and I can't believe it. We should certainly look it up now.
We should look it up now. I did not look it up because I got
I'm
stuck.
wondering what the backstory is on that. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
like somebody has the
yeah.
backstory on that, and if it goes back to like, oh, what I'm thinking of specifically is this: everything happened when the Late Show when it changed over to Colbert.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that shit went in the dumpster, and then people went and got it. Chris Gethard, his set, he is the bridges from behind Dave's window in his set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
and how
real
cool
one,
is
the
that?
actual pieces.
Yeah, because Chris Gethard is like me. If I were in New York, I probably would have done the same thing, I guess. But he went into the dumpster. He fucking dumpster dove and got the stuff that he was able to get. And I think the rumor is, I think he actually, somebody, I don't know if this is true or not. I shouldn't say that. Somebody told me he actually asked for Letterman's permission to like use it, and I can't imagine. I believe it.
I bet he did.
But I can't imagine why he would need to. But I mean, Dave doesn't care about that stuff.
But I bet Chris
Or it doesn't
does,
seem like
and it was more of a respect to like
You're right.
his leader.
Yeah, you're right. Of course, I overlooked. Of course, you're right.
He's one of the cutest, most fun guys.
Yes, he is. This
Am
is
I-
your thing,
I'll
and you've got to get back to it. It's not.
I was going to. Yeah, I have a note card today. I have my thoughts ready to go.
Okay.
I just happen to really be a fan of Chris Gethard and
We
his
should do a Chris
vulnerability.
Gethard show then, for
Then
sure.
I will make a note.
Let's both do that.
Chris
Because he's the type
Gethard.
of guy that I feel like would get what we're doing and would probably come on. I mean, I would think once the Letterman set's here, oh my God, of course we have to ask him when he's in LA.
We have to.
Okay, well, see, this is how things happen. Brainstorms.
And I want to ask Carol
Thanks, Ray
too.
Shaver, who said you
Thanks,
just
Ray
say
Shaver.
something randomly and then somebody starts working on it. That's what he told us once, and sure enough.
He knows. The episode specifically I'm talking about is the understudy.
Now let me see. I remember this episode. Now this is where my brain comes in. Even though it's not like my favorite show ever, I still have
You have all
everything
the
I've ever
pieces.
seen cataloged in my head.
Totally.
The understudy. Is this my Frankfurter with Bette Midler?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long journey from Milans to Minsk. Something like that. From Milan to Minsk.
Rochelle.
Yeah. It was, I'm assuming a fake musical, right?
I believe
Created
it was
for
a
that.
movie, and they created the fake
Hang on
musical
a
for that show.
Can I back this up for a second?
Yeah.
If what you're telling me is true, I flat out don't believe it because it's going to get crazy in the Jay Ryan world again, and I can't believe that this isn't set up.
I'll look it up, but
No,
I
no,
think
no.
that's the truth.
There is a movie called Rochelle. No, there is. But I don't know that it's here's what's interesting about this. In my adult life, what we were working on this is like 2 years ago when we first even had an inkling to start that documentary that we're working on. I started looking up other local celebrities in the area where I grew up, and of course it got me to Paul Newman. I'm like, well, I know a lot about Paul Newman already. But then it got me into a thing about a movie that he produced, and I was like, well, wait a second, what's this going on here? Because it was way long ago. And then I looked at it, it was Joanne Woodward had directed it, and I was like, well, of course. So it's Joanne Woodward directed and Paul Newman produced this
That's
movie.
his wife. They were married then? Okay.
Correct. Well, I don't know if they were married then, but I'm assuming after they were married. Yes.
Got it.
And the only thing that's interesting about this is I, of course, downloaded that movie and watched it. And the set is what is now the Bethel, I'm saying this for people who I'm sure have no idea, what is now the Bethel YMCA on Route 53 that we talked about the other day, about a mile up the street from where Bob Sharp Ferrari used to be, is the set for it was an old school. They always told us this was an old school once.
That place?
And it's a big square brick building right on grassy Plain Street, Route 53 in Bethel, Connecticut. But anyway, that was the main location for this movie. I used to go there every single day after school when I was in elementary school because that was like my after school care, whatever. My mom worked and I was a child. Do you know what I mean? Like really
daycare-y?
young. Daycare-y, whatever. You go there, it's like camp, but it's like after school or whatever. But the point is, I know every square inch of that building. It's where I met Aurora Daly, like a childhood friend, all of this crazy stuff. And I couldn't believe it. I flipped my wig, as they say. When I was watching, I was like, I can't believe it. And I'm backing it up because the building was old. Anyway, it's just so crazy. I couldn't believe that I had a connection to that movie here. This is not a big deal to anyone else. It's just a moment to me. I hope now I wish we could cut all of this out. I'm so embarrassed now. All of us. So fucking embarrassed. Yeah. Anyway, so I can't believe that Rochelle would be the same. I just can't believe it. I don't even know what the movie was about.
I don't either, but the episode, the Frankfurter girl, who is the understudy for
back to what you were saying,
Bette Midler, who was not supposed to be the woman who played that part. Which
Wait a second, I heard a story with that. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Part of what I love about women who are behind the scenes, so to speak, in the past of show business, 80s and 90s, is that we're finding out these stories now of how they really loved each other and cared for each other and did really good things for each other, which is such a good message. And really what I took away from seeing Dari yesterday, who I hope to see a lot more now that we're reconnected. Liza Minnelli was supposed to be the Bette Midler part. And I did not remember that because isn't she on Arrested Development?
She is.
She's the mom of like Tony.
No, she's the other. The other Lucille. Lucille too.
Oh, I forgot that was her name. That's my grandma's name. Yeah, I forgot. Anyway, she was supposed to be the Bette Midler character in that understudy one.
That makes more sense with the Broadway thing and everything, and the hoopla of what she was doing and the whole.
Right, but Bette Midler, I guess the co-writer Carol's friend Marjorie or whatever had cancer and was the co-writer of the episode.
Marjorie Gross.
Yeah.
I just had the title dedicated to. They dedicated an episode to her when she passed away. Is that true? Or on some show?
Yeah, it was like a year after they taped this, so it would have. Wow. Yeah, and she was the co-writer of the episode, and so I guess Carol went to Liza Minnelli and like pleaded, being like, "Please do this role," like, whatever she said, and Liza couldn't do it. And Bette Midler heard about Marjorie being diagnosed and being ill, and was like, "Sure," and she rescheduled her tour to accommodate the shooting schedule. And apparently Larry and Jerry were awesome and like put a cot in this woman's office and like did really cool stuff to make sure that she was okay. And so now that episode is my favorite episode ever.
Plus, my Frankfurter fell. Oh no.
I mean,
no.
Here's the thing, I'm pretty emotional these days, and shit like that happens a lot. And so I think of that quote often, and I can just envision Carol writing it now.
For anyone who doesn't, I mean, like, we need to fucking explain the Seinfeld to the world, as if that's necessary. This girl seems to overreact to everything. It's just like, oh, my Frankfurter fell, oh no, and everything, like, the movie, everything is just like a fucking thing. And then, and I don't want to give it any end, but then something happens in the end, and I'm like, I guess I gave it away anyway.
It's
show went off the air in '98, folks. That's 20 years ago.
Something horrible
Her
happened.
Uncle dies or something. It's like, Jerry like, finally is like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, finally, I'm gonna console. And she's like, no big deal.
It is so funny and real, and it makes me just appreciate Carol's involvement with that show. Let alone the fact that I did not know that she wrote another book. So if anyone's looking for books, she wrote a book that I just rediscovered on my iPad.
I only know of one.
Which one do you know?
Late Bloomer.
Oh, I don't know that one at all.
Maybe I made it up.
Well,
maybe it was an article I read once.
Well, I will look that up because I'm curious. The book I had on my iPad is How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying, which is a takeoff of that quote.
I don't want to go down the parallels there, but yep, I built the set for that show once, and one of our Letterman. I did the tile from the Letterman floor and everything because I was putting all my little Letterman nods in all of my work at that time. It was at the Wilton Play Shop. It's directed by the great Skip Ploss, the great local Fairfield County legend Skip Ploss, fabulous director. No joke, fabulous director.
Excuse me.
Oh, you don't care for him, obviously. Jeez.
No.
Just a little dyspeptic.
Just a little burpy. Sorry about that. I forget.
Oh, hang on. Wait a second. This picture. You can't see much of it, but believe it or not, the background of that was a parody that we did at the end. But believe it or not, that's actually the set that we built for How to Succeed. I can't believe that. It's so funny.
It's a parody.
It doesn't matter. The movie is wonderful with Robert Morris from Mad Men. And it's fabulous. I think we watched a little bit of it so I could show you his musical theater background.
You just made me remember that episode is
a
parody of the Tanya Nancy Kerrigan nonsense of that time.
Wow. What?
That episode, The Understudy, is a parody of all the drama that went on with Nancy Kerrigan.
Are you
Tanya
kidding?
Harding, and now that
because the blonde actually looks, the girl, the understudy actually looks exactly like Nancy
Apparently
Kerrigan.
that was intentional.
But blonde.
Yeah.
I've always noticed that. At the same time, Nancy Kerrigan hosted SNL at around the same time, and I think I told you I was working there at the time, and it was Chris Farley was still on, still alive, and still on. And they did that great pre-tape bit where they went ice skating and he was flipping the body around, the whole thing. Wow. That's awesome. I had no idea.
I've forgotten all this stuff.
I guess I forgot because why, and all that stuff too.
Oh yeah, she does about the hot dog falling.
Well, and the whole idea that that Bette Midler was taken out, like she got whacked by Jeff Galooly. I think it was Kramer or somebody in the game.
It's Kramer. The improv.
Boy, it is all up here, isn't it? I am a fucking savant. Good grief.
That's why I never worry about what to actually talk about with you because I know that you have it all in there. It just takes some coaxing to pull it out.
It's starting to get a little embarrassing, though, because I'm finally starting to see what other people have seen all this time, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I get it.
Welcome to the Jay Ryan party.
Must put a lot of pressure on people.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's a fucking steel trap up there. Like, well, he isn't going to forget shit.
Oh, yeah, we know.
Better stay square around that guy. He won't let me forget any of this. Good. The pressure's on, people. Pressure's on for everyone to be a better person. All of us.
Get it together. I'm
all right,
working on
Carol Leifer.
Well,
what's the name of the book?
The book I have is the How to Succeed in Business.
Oh, I'm sorry, right.
But apparently she wrote another one that I think the title's hilarious. If you lie about your age, the terrorists win.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which was written way long ago, way before the book I have.
I love that joke though. Just blah 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 blah. Then it was a Letterman joke for a long time. I'm sure it's a comic joke for a long time, but yeah, blah blah blah. If we can't caffeinate our coffee, then the terrorists have won. All that stuff.
And she has. I want to read that book. So, Dari, if you get it, let me know. Kirsten Anderson got the Golden State Killer book, and she texted me a photo of the hard copy and was like, "As soon as I'm done, it's yours, and we're going to talk about it." It's like, yes.
Is Carol Leifer in that?
No, It was a mild turnaround. The ending of the Carol...
Book sharing.
Yes.
Got it.
Book sharing.
Hashtag book sharing.
Hashtag book sharing.
Hashtag share
the wrap up of the Love Fest for Carol Leifer that I will leave everyone with. And if you have anything to add, I'm super curious what it is.
I might have something, but I don't think it's something that other people don't know. But go ahead. It might blow your mind if you don't know.
I'm ready to have my mind blown. She's working on the new Carol Burnett show.
How cool. I just watched a little bit of that on Netflix. It's spectacular. And I can't remember even what it's called, but it's her and kids. And it's not like the old kids say the darndest things. It's different. It's like these kids are it's situational stuff. It's like it's really neat. There's a tremendous amount of interaction with her and the kids. And it's really cool. She's brilliant. She's a Mr. Rogers to me. She's one of those people who's functioning on a different level, and don't matter what you think about it. Like some real shit's going on in there.
Yeah,
Did you know that Carol and Jerry used to date?
No. Did you know that her and Paul Reiser used to date? Okay, well this was news to me. Do you know that?
But I know that she is a lesbian.
Lesbian.
And from what I understand. And it must have been an article if it wasn't a book. I thought it was a book. In my memory, it was a book, and it was what it was about, Late Bloomer, because I think she came out at 40 or around there.
She got married around 40, and they adopted a little kid.
I didn't know that. But what it reminded me of was my favorite relative story, my Aunt Barb. Same thing. I mean, married a couple times and then met the right person. I mean, the story that I read or remember somehow about Carol Leifer was like, this wasn't supposed to be a thing. Or it was supposed to be a fling. It was supposed to be a whatever. And I'm not saying that about my Aunt Barb or my Aunt Kelly. They've been together and married for many, many years. And they're incredible. But the gist of like, you just figuring it out late and then laying it all on the line, I guess. And it felt thinking about that made me think of you, and not yours is circumstantial, but the outcome is sort of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm being unfair by separating them. Maybe it's exactly the same because I don't know what it's like to be homosexual. So maybe it's, you know what I mean? I just made it sound like it's a choice or something, and that's not what I'm saying, and it's not what I believe.
No, but you're proving my point just by speaking, in that there are so many similarities amongst all of us, amongst whatever life change is happening, that if you can read a humorous story of someone else's who went through something similar, it doesn't have to be, it will never be exactly the same. But if you can find the similarities, it helps people go through their own shit easier.
I love that.
And that's
Tell
why
your story,
I'm
man.
so grateful.
Tell your truth.
Yeah. That's why I love people like Carol Leifer, who are writing children's books now and looking for inspiration and reaching out on Facebook, being like, this was my favorite children's book. What's yours? And I'm
she's, if memory serves, she's local. Mm-hmm. I mean, you should maybe reach out.
I think
I would like for you to reach out to her and Meryl Marco when you're comfortable, because these are both people I know that you respect a great deal. And I feel like you're at a place now where you should be reaching out to these people. And I'm not saying look for a mentor or whatever, but gosh, if something like that happens along the way, wouldn't you be open to it?
For sure. Without a doubt. And I'm grateful to you for putting me back in the swim with all these people that are, my idols and heroes, but like really just people that you don't come across that often. Like Daria's are few and far between, and Carol Leifer's are few and far between.
Carol Leaflets are damn near impossible to
totally
find. You're giving them out on every corner.
People that can say names, not me. But I just I want to be a person that spreads that love around.
You are.
And so that's what
once you realize that you are, and you stop working towards it, and you just realize you are it, everything's going to get so much easier for you on your journey, I believe.
Okie doke.
I'm being very serious.
I know.
You're one of those one day, when, or as soon as, like all that stuff. And I know you're getting over that, but that's your imprint.
Yes, that is my imprint, and I'm working really hard to modify my imprint.
Good for you.
Change the imprint, and unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you ask, you're a big part of that. So I'm working really hard to keep my imprint current.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, there I go.
Oh, there I go. Whoop, there I go. Is that Finding Nemo? It's Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh.
From many things.
All connected.
Brad Garrett, absolutely. All right, well, let's see. We should probably get to some of this housekeeping stuff.
Cool.
What do we have? We have Set Tracker 3000. We're going to go over there in a second, but we may as well put that up. But some details to go with it. Oh, and also we've got some good guests coming up. I don't want to. Oh, and well, yeah, it doesn't matter. We've got some good guests coming up. That's good. It sounded like such a tease. I talked to Chris Jacobs again, though, and so that's good. Chris Jacobs from so many things, but overhauling is probably what most of the car people know him from. He's local. Somebody mentioned at Breakfast Club, like, hey, you should get him on, and I was like, that's a great idea. So I reached out to him, and he's into it. So that's going to happen in the next couple weeks. And let's talk about new set stuff. So this is a goodbye. Let's back out here.
Bye, a dining room table.
Yeah, this is a goodbye to our set here. Next time you see us, okay, well, hang on. Let's do the set tracker first. Okay. All right, set tracker. Let's go over to the set tracker studio over here. The tracker station.
I love being a nerd about this stuff and being allowed to be nerdy about it. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. All right, well, then I'm going to come back to this camera, and I'm going to say, all right, when we checked in on, I believe, Monday we didn't check in. On Tuesday, I believe we checked in when Richard Chasler was here. And is that right? Yeah, that's right. And we were in, what does that say up there? Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And we learned a little bit about Hattiesburg, et cetera. And then, let's see, yesterday we were in Fort Hood, Texas. And it seems to be a military base or something about that. So let us come on over here to the live tracker station, and I'm going to go over there right now. Mrs. Ryan, drum roll, please.
Oh, man, here we go.
Drum roll, please.
I can't do it like that movie.
Right.
Shoot.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Am I in your cans?
Yeah.
All right, here
God.
we go. So we started up here in New York, obviously, and then we made it down through the Mississippi. Yesterday we were up here in Fort Hood. So where are we today?
Oh, my.
I know. We have made it to Mescal, Arizona. Mescal,
Ooh, new
Arizona. Oh, new state. We're only 8 hours and 17 minutes away, Mrs. Ryan. Let's see. Do we have any kind of information on Mescal? No information on Mescal.
No. Are they on the 10?
Well,
Or near it?
I mean, really? Can you see the map?
I drove across the country a bunch of times and always took the 10 from that, so I was curious. But yeah.
I can't answer that. I would say that it certainly looks like it. But we are definitely on schedule for arrival sometime tomorrow, it looks like.
That is crazy cool.
I was told Friday or Saturday, so it looks like it will probably be Friday. Open either way. Coming back into the studio, Mrs. Ryan.
Cannot wait for the desk.
There we go. All right, back over here. So that is the Set Tracker 3000. Mescal,
Woo-hoo!
Arizona is where we are today. It's pretty exciting. So the gist of it is, this is the last time we are here in our set as it is. And it's interesting. I feel good about it. I'm finally feeling better about it. I had a lot of waffling. That's the truth. I was waffling a lot.
Yeah.
How about you?
I tried never to make it real either way. So I waffled, but superficially. I'm not. It's not my thing inherently. So I'm, especially with anything design, I'm keen to follow your lead.
Yeah.
But man, I knew you waffled, so I think my energy did about it.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, and what it came down to is truly it was the Kramer's apartment situation of it all. And it was like, well, is this really appropriate? Because it's not like we're doing, there are so many nods all over the place, but we're not trying to replicate the Letterman show. That's not the goal here. We're trying to,
Do a show.
do something, different, but with the same nuts and bolts, I guess.
It feels like what you're about.
The idea was, I think he took talk shows to the next version of authenticity,
Right.
and this is almost like the next version of authenticity. He's doing this type of, he's doing it much better, but he's doing the type of stuff that we want to be doing on his Netflix show
Right.
on a huge scale. We want to zoom in and do it for a bunch of small, like on the local level, so that, hopefully it's a real grassroots type thing where some people get this idea of like, oh, this is possible and this is cool and this is a neat way of thinking, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it was once I don't know, maybe wrangled what we were actually doing, and then the fact that if we were serious about doing it, which we are, what would actually give us our best chance? Is it wouldn't having something like the actual David Letterman set be a benefit to trying to get guests that we want to talk to try to push our agenda and stuff like that? The truth is yes to all of these questions. The answer is a gigantic, of course, yes. And that's when it became like, oh, this has nothing to do with you. Do you actually have something you want to say and that you want people to hear, that you think you can make the world a better place, that type of thing?
Yeah.
This might help you do it. It would be stupid to let it sit in a storage facility or whatever. So that's where I got. And ever since then, it's just been like, oh, well, how can I make it look pretty and be productive and functional for us as well? And I think we'll be able to achieve that. And
You've
that all
done
of a sudden
drawings
becomes
that make it look like it'll fit, and
we'll see once it gets here. But yes,
it's great.
it's exciting.
That helps my brain figure out that once I know something's possible, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brain's like, okay, I can do that. And you'll figure out your own way to make it work. But that's the whole point of all of it anyway. So the minute you drew a diagram of it, kind of like you did in high school.
Exactly the same. Exactly the same.
It made sense to my brain. So I was like, okay, it'll work however it does.
So the gist of it is, what we're saying here is, while it seems like this would just be take the desk and chairs out and bring another desk and chairs in, it's not going to be that simple. There is an installation that's involved, and you know what I mean? There's wiring, there's lighting that needs to change. It's all those things. So the gist of it is, Monday, we will be broadcasting from the kitchen or somewhere else I think the kitchen counter is what we've decided on. I think we're back. Can you hear me, Mrs. Ryan?
I can hear you.
All right, good. Sorry about that. Dropped out. I don't even remember where we were because that actually took a couple minutes. But the news said we all feel good about it. We're very excited about it. We're going to be doing the show from the... This is what I was about to say, and I don't know if it was on there or not. Because of everything, there's a lot of work. It's not just moving furniture. I'm going to see the cameras are all screwed up now, so I'm just going to bring it back in. Bring it back in, Mrs. Ryan.
Hey.
There we go. It's not as easy as it would seem, like it's just switching stuff around. There's lighting stuff, there's wiring stuff. So what I'm getting at is we are going to do a show on Monday, but it's not going to be in here. We're going to do it from like the kitchen, I think, is where we sort of settled on there. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fun. And it'll be a little different, and it'll probably be more like a regular podcast, to be honest, just two people and one camera kind of thing. But whatever. So Monday, look forward to the kitchen show, and then hopefully, and we'll follow up on what's going on, obviously in the studio at the time and everything. But plan on Tuesday being in the new set and the new studio.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It's
crazy.
so bizarre to think about.
To think that it's Thursday and then we've got the stuff's arriving. We're doing some changeover. We're doing a show somewhere else, and then it's crazy. It's a lot. All right. I don't know if there's anything else. Kitchen show, guests, Set Tracker 3000, Carol Leifer, late bloomer, the last hurrah on all this. Anything else for you?
No, other than a huge shout out to women who are good to women. No, that's my thing.
And my thing is people who are good to people. I know the women need it. I know that Black Lives Matter. I know all of the different things are important. I'm saying zoom out, and then eventually... Ironically, none of it's important. But everyone needs to keep fighting their fight. That's not what we're saying. Keep fighting your fight. All of us.
Agreed.
I love you, Mrs. Ryan. This is a neat... It's a weird thing because it won't be like this later. But I love you. This is exciting. And we love you at home. Thank you very much for watching. And, Breakfast Club tomorrow. Breakfast Club. Shoot, one last thing. There's Breakfast Club tomorrow. Daria brought up an excellent point. She said, I'm going to make it out there again, one of those things. And her husband, Michael, blah, 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 just needs to make time. He wants to do it. Every time he has it set up where it's a maybe, some work stuff comes up or whatever, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he always wishes he had gone. I would say #make time. That's what the porschelife is. It's one of those things where whatever you take out of your schedule to go take some time for you, and it doesn't need to be Breakfast Club. It's whatever it is, whatever your you time is. But put your pencils down. Like, put your pencils down, spend that time, make it, because whatever you do spend, like, you're going to get it back in other ways. Even if it's just mental relaxation, a down day, whatever it is, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Make time.
Yeah. That's a good message.
All right, cool. All right, love everybody. Love you. Love you. Love you. See you on Monday from the kitchen. For real. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you later.